What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of The Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always, Garrett Williams, and I am joined today by one of my two usual co-hosts. We've got Kyle Henning on my left, your right. Kyle, how are we doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Been celebrating the birthday for the last couple of days, so
Yeah.
doing all right. Hanging out with you now, talking Chiefs, getting ready for Monday night. It's a bit weird schedule this week because we had so much time before the game. We didn't want to get it out too soon to you guys, so we're
And
coming to you on a Saturday evening, which is a bit different for us.
Yeah, a little bit different, obviously. And also we had some birthdays to Kyle and Tom shared the same birthday on Friday, which was crazy. It's crazy that it just happened to be two guys sharing the same birthday. People were very amazed by that.
It's a little bit sidebar, but it's a bit interesting that I know like 6 people with my birthday that I'm personally like either related to or friends with and really good friends with in several of the
Really?
instances.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
That's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of celebrities I know that have my birthday. Every time it's my birthday, I just see like so many different birthday posts from different like random places. So
There are so many like that. There's a couple birthdays like that. You
crazy.
must want to have one of the celebrity days.
Yeah,
That must
I have
mean
a
you're ready to
couple.
go. You're gonna go viral here one of these days, then, right?
Yeah,
Celebrity, you got the big celebrity birthdays.
probably. Yeah, I might be one of those. But so yeah, we've got a good episode for you here today. Gonna be a nice, good little Eagles preview, Super Bowl rematch, obviously from February. The teams don't look quite the same as they did back in February.
No,
The
a little
Eagles
bit
lost
different.
a couple coaches. We lost a couple players, gained a couple guys.
Lost a couple coaches.
Yep. We did lose a coach too. Yeah, so that is kind
It's
of
showing.
yeah. It is. It is showing. It's showing for both teams actually, because the Eagles haven't been quite up to shape really without losing. I mean, they lost their offensive and defensive coordinators. That's pretty.
Yep.
That's a big toll to have to kind of
That's
just rebound from.
that's one of those things where it's like, man, that's gonna be a lot to deal with next year, and they've handled it pretty well. To be completely honest, I mean that's a lot to
Yeah.
ask, and they've still been a very good football team. They're still a very good football team. So shout out to what they're doing. This is one of those games we've been This is kind of one of the first ones where we're like, yeah, this is one we've circled for a while. The first
Yeah.
half
This is.
of the season, there were games, and it's like, yeah, cool games. Yeah, the first one against Detroit was a game because it was the opener, and then it kind of got the air taken out of it with the injuries and the Chris Jones thing and everything else. So then, the next one after that was really Miami. That was like,
Yeah.
oh,
That was
awesome
pretty hype.
game. Like that was the rest of that in between there was kind of like division games, which are division games, so they're fun and they're get up games. But let's be honest about what this division's been against us in the
Not
past.
much. Yeah.
They've got one win so far in I think 3 or 4 tries, so it's not been great.
No.
And now we get to the point where you're coming off the bye. We got done with the Germany game, the big game with the Dolphins, and it's Andy Reid off a bye against Andy Reid's old team, against the Super Bowl, repeat of the Super Bowl. The Kelce brothers again, they cannot get bigger than they are right now. They literally I know we said that in
Number one.
February. We said that in February when we were like, how does it get much better for the Kelce brothers at this point? Like where do they really go from here, huh?
Yeah,
Turns
they took
out
it to new.
new heights, right? Add
Yeah, they
Taylor
took it to new
Swift,
heights.
add Taylor Swift into the equation, add an extremely new height, the extreme new heights for their podcast being insane, and now they've taken over the music charts on
Mobile
Apple there with
charts.
the
Yeah.
Philadelphia Brothers song. It sounded like with the two of them there. That was
Yeah.
a whole lot of fun and I think a lot different than what I expected. I think we talked
That
about
was
it a week
really
ago.
cool. I was very, very surprised to see. I mean, first off, I never listened to like the original Eagles Christmas thing that they did last year. I know it got a lot of love, but I hadn't heard it. And honestly, I was surprised at Jason for sure because he sent it. Like it was no 50%. Like that was 110% of just full singing voice.
Are you surprised about him not be going 100% though? Because I don't know that he has another
No, I'm
option.
about to
Like
say it's
he's
one of
either
those things. They kind of embrace that, It's like,
they're
hey,
either all in or all out.
yeah. I mean, it's the same thing they kind of did with like the him being nominated for sexiest man from whatever sports magazine that was.
Oh, that wasn't sports, I don't think. I think that was Time.
What was that? Yeah, I don't
Sexiest
know.
Man
It
Alive
was some
or
kind of
whatever, which
one of them magazine
one of the
things.
tabloid magazines.
Yeah. But they kind of they're really good at embracing that stuff, and this was no different. I mean, they fully sent this one, and then Travis. I mean, hey, he got some pipes too. He had some
I
good
thought
pipes.
I thought it was gonna be a little more like jokey, karaoke, sing-songy style for
Yeah.
their song. Now, I know Jason can sing because I did hear one, I think, pieces of this little album they did last year, maybe a little bit of it. I know that Jordan Mailata, which is the guy they had on the pod, I think the
Hmm.
last episode, I know he can sing because they've shown some videos of stuff of him doing stuff. So I wasn't surprised that they would have some like actual singing, but the production level, like that's an
Yeah.
actual track, like that's a real
Like a
song.
fully produced. Yeah, it's not like karaoke, like you said.
Yeah,
It's like they really had like real music producers, real composers, like
that was
full.
good.
Yeah, like it was a full thing, and obviously they sampled, or it's a remix of a classic kind of Christmas song, but they put their own twist on it too, which is really cool. Like adding like actual lyrics about them, not just like singing, the pre-written lyrics. It was really cool to see.
Yeah,
It's very much deserving of the number one spot, and obviously with Trav dating Taylor and all this stuff, the Swifties are going to help with that
it's
tremendously.
going well. It's going well for him
It is
there.
going well, I'll tell you that much.
And crazier still, the video, I think, of them actually singing it and like recording it, because they
I saw
NFL
that.
put
Yeah,
up video from it from like when they were recording. Like that's Travis singing. You can
yeah,
really see him singing it
he's
and
just
getting
right
into
there,
it, and
doing it.
it's fun, man. And I'm gonna briefly take a pause. We never do this, but I'm gonna shout out my buddy. He released his own single on Friday on my birthday. Similar around the same time frame. Go check out Any More by my buddy Kyle Kilgore. It's his new single that he just dropped Friday. It's very good. He's been grinding for a long time, so go check that out as well. Chiefs Kingdom. He's a inside the kingdom. He's a Wichita kid, so
Heck yeah, gotta support them. Kansas. Is he a Jayhawk? Did he go to? Did he? Never
no,
mind.
he went to Southwestern, which is
Hmm.
in Kansas as well, but it's in
Never
Winfield.
heard of it.
So
Doesn't sound like they
yep.
have a made up bird mascot like
They do
another
not.
place.
They do not have a made up bird. I think they're the builders down there.
That's kind of sick. Yeah, one guy named Robert shows up there. He owns the school basically.
That's an
Yeah.
excellent reference there. We love that.
So yeah,
Little
the
Bob the
Eagles
Builder
game.
for you guys.
The Eagles
But
game coming up here. This is
tying into
like
the
the
Eagles game,
first.
is Taylor gonna
Yeah.
make it? I don't know. She had to reschedule the show, it looks like, for
Ooh, yeah.
Monday
I don't know if
night.
she's gonna be there. She might. I think she's got
We'll see.
some
We'll see what's
Brazil,
happening. She's got that Brazil tour
tours.
going on. But
Yeah,
either
and then
way, it's going to
scheduled
be
for
a lot of
Monday.
fun to play this
Yeah,
game.
this is definitely the first. I mean, the Dolphins game kind of was a big test, but this is the time of year where it's kind of that playoff type football. I mean, this is a team you really want to have a good showing against. It's not like a make or break, win or lose, game, but there's a lot of pressure on this game, and there's obviously going to be a lot of eyes on it with it being on Monday night prime time. So this is going to be a big test, especially coming off a bye week, which Andy Reid is so good at. His record on off the bye is something crazy.
21-4 or something like that.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
and
It's broken.
it's pretty nuts how well they are. And obviously, there's been a lot of issues that the team has kind of needed to address. So having this bye week really should get back to some top tier Chiefs football. But obviously, you never know because it's the
I hope
Chiefs.
the self
And
scout went well, because they had some
sure
stuff
do.
like you mentioned that they needed to look at. Both teams are coming off a bye for this one, so I think that's important to mention. It's not just the Chiefs off a bye. A lot of the
That's true.
time,
Yeah.
one team's coming off a bye and one team's not, and so on and so forth. This one's a little bit different. Both teams coming in rested. Both teams, for the large majority, are fully healthy. Obviously, super unfortunate what happened to Dallas Goedert. He's done, I think, for the year, if I read that right. He's definitely
Yeah.
out for this game, but I think he's done for the year.
That is a big
Um,
loss for them for sure.
and then they're going to be without Justin Evans, but I don't know if he's coming back from an injury, but he's still out, or if he's going out, because he was listed as limited, but he's an IR guy, but he's listed as out for the game already. So,
Hmm.
and then they had Grant Calcaterra, which is a backup tight end, which becomes drastically important when Dallas Goedert
They need some of
goes
those.
down.
Yeah.
He had a concussion, but he's been full participant. They're getting Cam Jurgens back. He's supposed to play, I believe. He's ready to go, it looks like.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good. They activated
And
off
then
IR for him.
an old Chiefs friend, and I mean Chiefs friend and Chiefs foe, Bradley Roby. You guys are familiar with Bradley Roby from
Still finding work in
about a
this league.
billion
Very
different
impressive.
plays we've seen him. He's on the injury report, but again, all their guys listed are full participants, other than Justin Evans and Dallas Goedert, who we know pretty much are not playing. So
Yeah, as far as the Chiefs side, they had full participants this entire week. Nick Bolton is going to be back. They activated Richie James off the IR. I don't know if he's going to play or not, but he was a full participant in practice all week.
I didn't. That Richie James thing is so odd.
It is kind of odd,
They were
especially
trying
now
to
they have
trade him.
Cole.
They were trying to trade him.
Yeah, there was reports that they had talked about trading him before the deadline, and now they're just going to activate him.
They
And
didn't. Now he's back
probably,
on the roster.
yeah, he'll probably
And
be an inactive for the game, in all honesty,
I would
because not really
expect him
much
to be.
role. They have Cole now for the punt return and kick return duties, so not really much for Richie James to do on the roster. Maybe just give Cole his number 17 and get the heck out of here.
It's good to see Tommy Townsend is full participating with that wrist. I know.
Yep,
Not
got to
everybody.
report those wrist injuries.
Oh God, that was. I don't think he meant. I honestly don't think Dave Tobe was trying to throw shade at anybody. I think he was literally just answering the question. But with all of the discourse from the night prior, like the reason I say I don't think Dave Tobe was trying to throw shade, Dave doesn't strike me as the guy who's just scrolling Twitter at night or in the morning before he goes into the like. I don't think he probably saw all that discourse.
He's not as much. If it came from Spags, maybe I might believe it. I might believe
I just
Spags.
don't think Dave was intentionally stirring a pot there. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's going to be interesting that on the same line of personnel, the Chiefs have a gentleman returning from the Broncos in Keandre Coburn that everybody freaked out about. So, Garrett, are you feeling better now that Keandre's back home in the building?
Oh man, so excited that the 6th round pick defensive tackle that wasn't good enough to make the roster the first time is back on the practice squad once again. Very excited to have him. Excited for his future. No more comment.
I think he's got a lot more to develop. I do think there's more to it. I was a little disappointed that they lost him to Denver. I also didn't think it was permanent, which I said on the show. I figured he'd be back. Lo and behold, they let him go, and they thought they were going to be able to sign him to their practice squad, and he went, "No, I'm going to go to Kansas City, thanks."
Yeah, it was one of those things. Denver did kind of snipe him off the waivers to try to, do that classic waiver wire shenanigans.
They won that game after that, so good for them. Maybe it worked.
Yeah, and he tweeted out a Broncos country win type thing, and then he obviously had since deleted that. But yeah, cool to see him back. I guess
Glad to have him
we'll
back.
probably have to draft another defensive tackle next year, like Tom would say if he was here.
Maybe he'll continue to develop. I think he probably still continues to develop.
Maybe.
He was going to be a project. He was a 6th rounder, so
good
to see that back. On the press conference side of things, there was a little uproar in the kingdom about a press conference on, I believe it was Thursday. Was that the assistant coaches press conferences with the wide receivers coach and the coordinator and whatnot?
That was that.
There's a lot of reaction to it. Obviously, we haven't been, I wouldn't say mean, but honest, I guess, with
critical.
The wide receiver coaching room.
Yeah.
I just, there's some questions there, and they were asked before the year, when we brought him up, because he's a young guy who's never really done it before at that level. So, and that's a young room, and that was one of the things we talked about then and now. And I also think you see that youth on the podium. I think that's what you saw more than anything. I don't think he's a bad football coach because he doesn't coach speak well on the podium and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I think all that really highlighted on the podium was he's a young coach who's not really familiar with all of this yet and is still learning as much of this thing as much as some of the guys probably are learning the wide receiver room. And that was where my concern was then, and it still is now.
Yeah.
And I don't think that did anything to really help that, but I also don't think it's this whole he's completely incompetent because he can't answer answer generically in the media like they want him to and not sound like he's stuttering over. Like public speaking's not for everybody. Thing one,
Yeah,
thing two,
especially
he
being
never
a
he
public
never
speaker
does
for
it.
an NFL team.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
never
having to,
does it.
yeah, not
So,
something that you're probably super comfortable with. Definitely not a complete judge of his character. But yeah, I mean, we've brought up our concerns about the fact
and
about it that it's a
he
young receiver
knows,
coach
and
and
he
young
knows they're
receivers.
underperforming, and he knows they're not where they want to be. So he knows that everybody's looking at him, and he's already nervous going into that press conference. You can't tell me he wasn't. That's fine. That's human
Yeah,
nature.
yeah. Just gotta hold the confidence that
So
they'll turn around. He'll keep
I
learning.
just,
He'll keep
I
that
just,
process of figuring out how to be a wide receiver coach in the league. It's difficult, and obviously Andy Reid, having a mentor and tutor like that, it's good. It's good to guide to develop under
and
for
I
sure.
think
That's
this will
kind of
be a teaching moment for Mandy for him.
yeah. And this is kind of how Andy Reid has always done it. Like he's very
Yes.
big on long-term development through the coaching ranks. Instead of just kind of hiring an outside guy, he kind of trains with them from within.
And I like
So this
that.
guy will probably end up being the
I
offensive
think
coordinator one day.
I think my thing is at this point in the year when something's not going the way you necessarily hoped it would, and you have another guy like we've talked about in the past who's played the position, who's been in the room in a wide receiver room, who's done that before, and he's coaching down the hallway with the running backs. I think you can
Yeah.
ask for help there, and I think Andy
So, hey,
hopefully
maybe
and
just
I
put him
think
on
these
running
guys
back.
all work together, and I think they do work as a unit, but to the same extent, they still spend a lot of time with these guys individually. So there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Again, I think my whole point was as critical as we've been of the wide receiver coach, I don't think it's a time to, pitchfork and run the guy out of town because of the interview and press conference. Like it's just too
Yeah.
much.
I would
So
say the solution
everybody
is not
just we'll see.
to
Let's see
fire
how
a
this
guy
goes.
mid-season
Let's see
like a
how it
certain other
goes.
AFC
This
team
is
has done,
oh
firing
God.
firing a part of their coaching staff mid-season. Just
the
that's just gonna save it all.
the bye
That's
week
gonna,
they kept on giving, huh? Just
yeah, it sure
incredibleness.
did keep on giving. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, the Eagles game. Back to it. What
So
other concerns do we have about the Chiefs' offense going into this game versus the defense, the Eagles' defense, besides the wide receivers continuing their development?
I mean, the Eagles are a good run defense traditionally.
Yeah,
They've got a lot of guys on that defensive line, especially up the middle. They've got two or three
Jordan
guys up the middle,
Davis. Yeah,
and you're not even talking about the other guys that have been there a while. I'm not even talking about the young guys. Like
yeah.
they've got some vets up the
Fletcher
middle through
Cox.
there too.
Fletcher
Fletcher's
Cox is
still
still there.
there. Yeah,
They lost one of them. They lost one of their guys this
yeah.
last year.
They got
But yeah,
Jalen
they
Carter
still
still in there. They got Jordan Davis in there. They're
yeah.
loaded up on the line play, and we know their offensive line is very good. And did you say Nick Bolton's back, ready to go full?
He is
I
back.
I
He
did
is
not
back
see
in
him. He's not
action.
even listed on the injury report. He's so back.
No, he's listed in the injury report, but he is back.
I'm very confused because I'm looking at Mac McMillan's from earlier today at like 3 o'clock, and he's not on it. But
He might be that back because he was pretty back.
well,
But
that's good news because that was a major
yeah,
concern with them. If he's out, the run defense is not as stout. I love Drew, but it's just a fact. Nick is a
yeah,
better run defender. Um, but yeah, I mean that the things that I'm most concerned about are outside of the script. Once you get done with the script, once we get done with the 15 or whatever 20 plays after the start of the game,
yeah.
how do we go from there?
Yep, pretty much. That's kind of been the struggle for the Chiefs these past couple games. Outside of that first 15, it's starting to break down a little bit. So hopefully that bye week will have a little more of a plan in action to really take down a familiar opponent. You got to remember that they did heavily train for this team and heavily game plan for this team just a couple months ago. So there should still be a lot that they can kind of carry over and some tendencies. We'll have to see if they break out any of the hot dog or the corn dogs plays again or whatnot, because they kind of know, they kind of have a read on what that Eagles team can do. Obviously, they put up 38 points versus them in February. So we will have to see. But defensively wise for the Chiefs, definitely Jalen Hurts is obviously gonna get his. He hasn't been having as crazy of a year, but he's still doing pretty good. Their whole offense has still been near the top, I believe, of most metrics. But big difference this year, obviously, is the defense. The Chiefs' defense being one of the top defenses in the league. What else really is a major concern, do you think, as far as our defense going against their offense?
I mean, AJ Brown's playing out of his mind.
Yeah, AJ
So
Brown's a dog.
the
Little
matchup between Snead and AJ Brown
yeah.
is going to be just grab some popcorn and just watch that side of the screen Monday night. I have a feeling if you're watching the Manning cast, they're going to talk about it a lot. The other one that's interesting to me from a what do the Chiefs do? Like I said, I'm looking through for Nick Bolton notes. I don't see that he's back, but I don't see that he's out, so I have no idea what to do with
You're
it.
still looking for Nick Bolton? That's crazy.
Dude,
This whole time. Just go on Chiefs
I was
website on the injury report.
I've been on the. That's what I was trying to figure out. Like I'm really glad he's back if he's back. I'm stunned that he's back already because I thought that injury was longer than that.
Oh, maybe he's not on the injury report, but he's not on the IR, is he?
I don't think.
I don't think they replaced him on IR.
No, I don't remember what they did with him as far as the roster is concerned, but he's not listed on the.
Maybe he's still on IR.
Yeah, he's not listed on the depth chart. That's why he's not on the injury report. He's on IR.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't think he was on IR.
Yeah, I thought they put him on IR.
All right. Well, still got Drew Tranquil, so that's good.
Yes. Okay. So that's my concern then is the run game against that defense in the middle. It's not going to be as pretty. I think Spags may have some different things coming out of this bye week because we forget he's had 2 weeks in the lab too, and he's again shown that this defense is ahead of pretty much all of the offenses in this league right now, including the number one offense that they just shut down before in Germany before the bye week. So he got to play around in his bag. I think they're going to do some different things up the middle on suspected rundowns. I think you may see more Leo in the game. I think there may be a little bit. They may go bigger up the middle. Be interesting to see what the inactives list looks like for Monday night. But the run game up the middle is a concern / question mark to see what that looks like. I don't know that you can give up the yards per carry on the ground. And I know most of the yards per carry they've given up on the ground is a lot of it's been later in games when games have been out of reach for in some instances and they're kind of conceding it. But still would like to see them be good on the ground. And they're better with Nick Bolton, but I still think they can do some things to eliminate his absence from being as big of a deal. And I
they've
think
still been holding out pretty decently without. I mean, we've seen the Miami had some decent yards with Raheem Mostert, but
the biggest piece to the run defense with Bolton out is Willie Gay, especially against Jalen Hurts. Willie Gay is going to determine a lot of how the defense plays on the run on Sunday or on Monday, I think.
Yeah, that is going to be a good development to see. Obviously, Willie's been having a pretty good season so far. So
he's been flying around. He's been all over the field. He's showing why he can run sideline to sideline as a linebacker and be the insane athlete that he is. He's a lot of fun, and I think if he continues to play at that level, it's going to be good. These two teams, I know it was 38-35 in the Super Bowl. It just doesn't feel like that for me for this one.
Yeah, I don't know if either of them are really at a point that they're going to be putting up a lot of points. It might kind of be more of a grind.
These defenses are good, man.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference is that, the Chiefs' defense is so much better than what it was. So we might not see as much of a need for the Chiefs' offense to kind of, put up 38 points. It might be more of a slow grind for both teams trying to just get some points out of it. It's going to be interesting to see how the points end up working out. Before we do score predictions, we should talk about some things we wanted to talk about here.
Yeah, so we can transition a little bit into what you're talking about with the scoring points and how they're going to go about it. We're gonna look at a few of the lines and stuff that we
Yeah,
went through and looked
just a little
through
bit, just a little bit of
some of the
lineage.
sports books. Now, guys, not gambling advice. Do
This is
that at
not
your own
gambling
risk.
advice.
If you're
Call
and
one eight
only do
hundred
and
gambler if you have a problem.
only do the gambling if you're 21 or over and in states where it's legal.
Yeah, can only do it in legal states. We both live in legal states. Lucky for us.
Correct. That makes this easier for us. So with that said, I do like that. So we went and looked on all three of the main fun books, I guess. They're
Main
not
books.
like your Vegas casinos, but FanDuel,
No.
DraftKings, and then ESPN Bet,
New.
formerly Barstool Bet, which is now ESPN Bet. They just launched it recently, last week, I think. So on FanDuel, they have the Chiefs over 12.5 points in the first half is -110. I really like
Yeah,
that line.
not a bad
They're a
line.
first half team, especially a second quarter predominantly team. I think 13 or 14 in the first. I think 14 in the first half is expectable, maybe even 17.
Yeah, 2 tuds in the first half. It's pretty, I think
I
it's
like
within
that
reason.
line. I do think both teams are going to score enough. I don't think this is going to be like 20 to 17. I don't think it's going to be that much of a rock fight.
Yeah,
I think the safe thing is to tease down the total. I think the total right now is 44 or 45, maybe even 46 and a half. But 38 and a half should get there comfortably
that
if you
seems
want to
pretty
put that
safe.
together
Yeah.
with that first half over. And then Justin Watson's receiving yardage is 22 and a half. And I just coming out of the bye, it's a low number, and that gets you to a nice little plus 264 on a parlay there for those three. I like that to just get you a little builder. I also on FanDuel am a fan of Jerick McKinnon's anytime touchdown. I believe it's at 460 right now. For that game on Monday night for him for an anytime touchdown, and that the other two books are he's in the 300s for his odds on the touchdown for that. I believe his anytime on FanDuel is in the 400s. Yeah, it's 460 on FanDuel for an anytime. So just to throw a little straight one at that.
Yeah, there's a couple good bets right there. I was looking at a couple. Kadarius Toney,
This is
6.5
DraftKings,
yards.
right? You were on DraftKings checking these out.
I was checking DraftKings mostly as mine. Kadarius Toney 6.5 yards over. If he gets one catch, ladies and gentlemen, if Kadarius Toney, if they can get him the ball via the air one time, he is getting 6.5 yards.
As long as they throw it forward.
Yeah, as long as it's not a run, not a jet sweep. If he can just get one little drag,
even a little pop pass around the end,
a little bubble, he's going to get 6.5 yards. So that's something to consider. Maybe if you have a sports book that you can up that to maybe 9, maybe 10.
ESPN Bet has the option to up his line to all the way up to 20 and a half. 19 and a half yards is like plus 300 or something, maybe a little more than that.
See, that's some spicy odds. Maybe up to 15 odds.
If you're interested in a little flyer there as a solo, I would not parlay that with anything. If you want to go up to 9.5, it's pretty decent odds too.
Yeah, his bread and butter the past couple games is one reception for a couple yards. So we'll have to see. We'll have to monitor that situation. Off the bye, they might have crafted up some special things for him to get him more acclimated to the offense, especially with the way the season's going. And you gotta start ramping him up sometime. That's kind of been the overall theme. So yeah, we got that. Other than
there
that,
was another interesting one on there you saw.
Yeah, there's a very interesting. DraftKings has one of their scoring special ones. Any team to score 30 plus points at 135, and any team to score 40 plus points plus 135. Yeah, and then any team to score 40 plus as at plus 850. So obviously, like we kind of talked about, it's probably not going to be as high of a scoring game as the Super Bowl. It's very interesting to think about. I mean, 135, it's good. That's some decent odds for some team
somebody
getting 30.
Getting a 30 ball is not crazy.
All you gotta do is hit 30.
These two offenses could occasionally just wake up and decide to go bonkers because they
exactly.
both have great quarterbacks.
Either of these teams can really wake up and just put up some points. And you never know. It's kind of an alternative to the over under of the full game, but it's something to at least kind of think about. I don't know. Yeah, this week it might not be the week, which is why I think those odds are a little bit higher. But with the way we know these teams are, anything is possible. Other than that, I am
I think there was
very
one more.
unconfident in most anytime TD scorers for Chiefs because they just spread the ball around so much that you can really never predict when and who is going to get into the end zone. But with that being said,
I
I
agree.
don't think Isaiah Pacheco got one last week or last game, I should say. And he usually scores a lot of touchdowns, so maybe I'd say Pacheco.
I like the Noah Gray odds on DraftKings for a touchdown. He's like plus 600 for a tutty.
Yeah,
I also
yeah,
like his yardage on there. I think it's 13 yards.
that's pretty good
Um,
yardage.
so that's something you may be able to put together. I think those two together is like plus 750 for a little Noah Gray parlay. The other one I found interesting on DraftKings when you brought up the 30 plus or 40 plus.
Mm.
Each team to score one touchdown and one field goal in each half. And it's plus 1700.
Which is very good odds.
And so it's basically your 10 points each half. But they need to be 10 points. It doesn't need to be 14 points in one half and 14
Yeah,
points
it
in the
needs
other
to
half. It
be a
needs to be
field
10 and
goal
10.
and a touchdown, both halves. Which
It's because of these defenses, I genuinely think that's more of an option than normal. So getting plus 1700 if you have, when you're doing your units or whatnot, if you do that
yeah,
way, if you
might be
usually
worth a
bet
little bit.
$5, maybe throw $1 at it and see if you turn it into 17. Like it's one of those where the odds are just nice.
Yeah, it is a
Um,
nice odds. Those kind of bets always scare me with the having to
they're high
score
risk,
specific amount of points per or that being tied to a quarter or a half or something. Because
definitely.
the way the Chiefs, especially with the way the Chiefs play, they'll just score like 28 points in one half or one quarter, and then just not score in any other quarter. It's kind of funny how they do that sometimes, but yeah, these are some things to think about if you are living in a legal state and partake in the sports gambling.
The
We are
last
not
one I'll
gambling
say is
experts.
Patrick Mahomes' anytime touchdown on ESPN Bet is plus 425, and the
Hmm.
Eagles big games. He does
We
things
know
that
that
he
he can
doesn't
use his
normally
legs
do. He likes to use his legs. He's been running
Yeah,
more this year. I think he's going to start doing it a little more in the red zone because we've seen them struggle in the red zone, and it just gives them another dimension for teams to have to deal with if he's willing to run in the red zone.
yeah, maybe.
Him being plus 425 there is not the worst thing in the world to look at, maybe.
Hear
So
me out. Hear me out. Ready? They're at the 1 yard line, goal line formation, and they break out the tush
are
push.
you gonna say QB sneak tush push?
What if they break out the brotherly shove?
Oh
You know how
no.
much the internet would explode. Even if they ran with Blake Bell, just run it with Blake Bell. I don't care, but
Do we
that
have
would be
to? Can we just
awesome.
run it with Patrick because it'll be so
I
easy.
mean,
There
just
will
run it
never
with Patrick, but
if
even if
they
you're
do
gonna do
it with
Scary Williams,
here's the
yeah.
thing. The first time they do it with Patrick, there's not going to be anybody there for the defense because we've
Oh yeah,
seen it. They
they'll
don't
never. I
respect
mean,
it.
yeah. I think
They don't care.
there was a short yardage last week or last game that
There was a third or fourth and one, third and
yeah,
one. I think it was third and one or two,
the
and
middle was just completely wide open
there
from the
was
D line.
one down lineman inside Trey Smith to Joe Tooney. There was one down lineman from guard to guard.
Yeah, so safe to say they might just be really holding that one out, but that would just be awesome. So that's where they might get that anytime TD. But that being said, we're gonna get out of here with some score predictions. Kyle, what do you got?
I said I didn't like either team to score 30. I stand by that. I like the over on the alternate, but I'm not loving the over on the overall, the regular total. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be one of those really good football games. It's a tough game. It's probably in the neighborhood of 27-21 Kansas City. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's done at home.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, that's
27-21 would get you the over, I think, but it's not a comfortable one. I don't love that. It could
yeah.
very easily be 24-20 or 24-17.
Yeah, I'm
Either
kind of
direction.
in the same ball house. That's something we didn't really mention too much. We are in Arrowhead, which is
Mhm.
a lot different scenery than the first time we played them. So
And
that's
it's supposed
definitely
to be
something.
weather. I didn't
So
mention that either,
it
so
is
that's kind of the
cold.
other reason I'm leaning towards the under. It's well, rainy, not cold, rainy, and rainy
Well, it's probably
sucks.
cold too, but yeah, rainy as well. It's
Well,
probably it's probably very
we
cold. If it's
we
under
do
60
cold a
degrees, it's
little
cold.
different around here,
I know.
Garrett. It's not the
Listen,
same.
yeah, for
You
me, it'd be
desert folks,
cold.
are a little bit. It's supposed to be 46 and rainy on Monday, so you
Oh my
would be
God, I'd
freezing.
die. Yeah. Yeah. So that's something to consider. Obviously, Philadelphia, they're a hard-nosed, gritty football team. They can handle a little bit of cold, inclement weather,
That's
but
where the running game comes into play. That's where I talked about Nick Bolton's
sure is.
importance and
Sure
that
is.
whole defensive matchup being my biggest watch point for this game. As much as the receivers and everything for that offense in Philly's been crazy, they can run the ball. They have DeAndre Swift. They have Kenneth Gainwell. They have Jason
Yeah.
Kelce and a good offensive line. And if it's a nasty football game in bad weather, it's going to be a little bit
We're
more fun.
gonna be running the rock. So yeah, initially my first score prediction was like 27-21 in my head. That's
That's
sounds
almost
about right.
scary. I don't love that we're on
Yeah,
the exact same wavelength,
I know
but
it is very it's interesting. That means it's probably gonna be nowhere close to that. It's probably gonna be like
yeah.
33-19
Here's
or
here's
something.
the incoming Rams Chiefs game from 2018 when it was
I would love that. That would be sick.
54-51.
Except we need to be on the winning side of it this time
Yeah,
because
I'd like to win that game this time.
every time people talk about that game, it's just like, I don't like that game. Even though it was great. It was a great game, but the Chiefs lost. It does suck. But
Yep.
yeah, I think it'll from what everything we talked about, I feel like it's gonna be a under 31 possession type win game for them.
As much as you
But
can say that game sucked, it's the game that changed the franchise because I think that was the game that basically told Andy, Bob Sutton's got to go, yo.
yeah, no kidding. Said, hey Marcus, you should come back to KC.
Got to go, bud. You got to
Yeah.
go, bud.
So yeah, it should be hopefully it's a great Monday night football game and not another dud primetime game like most of the primetime games have been this year.
We are getting Manning cast, correct?
I don't know. Yeah, I would assume they've been doing it almost every week, so I'd assume we'll probably get some Manning cast. So that's always a good time to hear the Mannings talk about Patrick Mahomes' greatness because there's a
That'll
lot
be
of it.
fun. He was on it last week, so.
He was,
And we
yeah,
didn't even talk about it. That's how big Travis Kelce's gotten, kids. We're not even
yeah,
talking about Patrick.
yeah. Sorry, Patrick.
It's crazy. It's so fun though because they also as much as everybody hates everybody when we talk about Taylor Swift. I know this is the end of the show, so this is why I don't feel bad about doing this now. If you're still here, you're here for a reason.
Yeah,
It's fun, man. They seem to genuinely be having a good time. They seem to genuinely
they
be
do.
happy. According to Swift fans, they haven't really seen her seem genuinely happy in a while, which is good news. If
Cool.
you're the
Yeah,
boyfriend, so that's
that's
good.
good to hear.
Travis seems happy, and I guess there's this thing where the families are going to be in the press box on Monday night. I don't know where that stands if
Yeah,
Taylor's not going to be there, but that's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. It's
I
crazy.
did hear that.
It's
Yeah,
crazy that we're talking about that, and this is the thing. It's good for the sport. It's good for the Chiefs. It's good for the
yeah,
league. It's good for
and good for
Travis.
Trav.
If it's good for
Good for
Travis,
Trav for
I'm
sure.
happy, and that's the thing I'm most happy about. As long as it's good for Trav, I could care less what anybody else has to say on the subject.
I agree. Well said. Very well said. With that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in and watching and listening to this one. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Kingdom Says Pod. Check us out on
YouTube.
YouTube, Kingdom Says Pod. And then if you're watching us on YouTube right now already, you should go listen to us as well on Apple and Spotify and all those other fun podcasting platforms.
If you're
And
on YouTube watching us now, you should leave us a comment and you should like the
yeah,
video, and you should subscribe and tell your friends to come subscribe too. And you should all do that because there's going to be contests coming out that are going to be tied to the YouTube for you guys to win some really cool stuff. So get on
boom.
that. And the sooner we get some more people signed up and subscribed to the YouTube, the sooner we can give away some of the bigger stuff that we've got planned.
Yep, should be a good time. So thank you all for tuning in and joining us once again. And we'll see you next time on the Kingdom